All right, everybody, Sylvia here. I am in Arizona. I'm boondocking on BLM, Bureau of Land Management, Public Lands, and it's so quiet out here. I thought that I would do a video today talking about something I've been thinking about for quite a while. You know, this is kind of the time of year when people are thinking about doing a cycle tour, maybe in the fall or over next winter, and they're firming up their plans and they're committing to what route they want to take and what time they want to do it. And the video that I want to do today, I don't really want to talk about what you want to bring or the kind of gears or tires that you should use on a tour. I really want to talk about framing an epic ride. I know for a lot of people, doing a very big ride, maybe many months long across the United States or down the Pacific coast is on your bucket list. And it can be overwhelming because these routes are, you know, it can take months to get across the country. It's many thousands of miles. And the idea of doing such a big trip can be overwhelming. And today I want to talk about the way I think about these big tours and frame it mentally. And so you can use these tools to give you confidence that you're going to know you can get across the country or go down the Pacific coast and you're going to achieve your goals. Come on, Myrtle, let's go. Yeah, so today I really want to talk about bike touring and the ways that I frame it so that I can feel safe and confident that I'm going to get through every day. And I have kind of developed a technique over time so that I know what works for me. And recently I've had a number of people contact me. They're very excited. They're going to be doing a bike ride across the United States, and I've had people tell me that they're going to be doing a bike route that's only on bike paths and that they're never going to have to be riding in traffic. They're going to be going across the United States only on bike paths, and I really want to let you know that there is no such thing. And the first thing that you need to be very clear about when you're doing a bike tour, epic one, it really doesn't matter if it's in the United States or anywhere in the world, you have to be comfortable riding in traffic. And there are a lot of routes in the United States, bona fide routes that have maps. All of them are on the roads. There's not really even very many bike lanes on a lot of these routes. And so the very first thing is you have to be comfortable riding in traffic. So there are many routes across the United States, and I really want to talk about one particular company's routes in particular. As a first-time tourer, this is what I recommend. This is what I did. I have ridden my trike down the Pacific coast 3 times, and I have ridden across the United States twice. I have done it with and without electric assist. And what I'm going to tell you today, I'm going to give you some tools, some metrics, and it will work for whether or not you want to use electric assist or not. My very first bike tour was down the Pacific coast. I rode from Canada to Mexico. I actually ended up going much further. I spent 6 months in Mexico and ended up in Guatemala. And I can say with confidence, I don't know that I would have had the courage to even start bike touring without the maps from Adventure Cycling Association. ACA is out of Missoula, Montana, and they have been in the business of designing routes and maps in the United States since the 70s. They have maps for 3 different routes across the United States, down the Pacific coast, the Natchez Trace, Atlantic. There are so many routes to choose from. Almost anywhere you can think of riding in the United States, they have a bike route designed and maps to go with it. The maps have absolutely everything you could possibly need to know for your bike ride. They have a very clear elevation profile, so you're going to know how much climbing you're going to do in a day. It gives you all the different services that are on the route. So it has camping, hotels, grocery, the post office, pharmacy, anything that a bike rider could need. It gives you the bike shops if you need a repair. And for me, it's just so nice to have these maps, you know, give you something to hold, to look and see what the distances are, so you can help you plan your days just a little bit better. Another resource that is super valuable there's a couple of websites that I think every bike tourist should know about. One is Crazy Guy on a Bike. It has been around, I think, since the 90s. People post their blogs from their trips on this website. It's free. There are thousands and thousands of blogs on this website, and another one called Cycle Blaze, which is newer and a little bit more sophisticated. But really, it doesn't matter what bike route you are thinking about. Somebody has already biked it and they have written about it. It's on the internet. They probably even have a YouTube channel. These blogs just have a ton of information, and I think it's really valuable to see how somebody else did it. So the number one priority for you every day that you are bike touring is going to be your safety. And this is going to look different for everybody. I've talked about road riding and how you need to be very comfortable riding on the roads. And for the most part, like, there's often not even a shoulder across the Southern Tier route. You're actually going to be on the freeway on I-10. There are no other roads. It's legal. Nice thing about being on the freeway is there's always a big shoulder, but there's also semi-traffic, and you've probably seen how semis, when they get a flat tire, they don't pull over to change it. They just let the tire disintegrate, and bit by bit it falls off into traffic, and all of those tire pieces end up in the shoulder. And these tire pieces have what's known as tire wire. It's very, very sharp, and probably you're going to be getting a flat tire. And so I think part of your safety routine is to be comfortable with bike repair basics. For sure, you need to know how to change a flat tire, not just your front, but your rear. And maybe you work with maybe somebody from a bike shop, to go over just basic bike repair and make sure that you have the proper tools and that you know how to use them. All right, so I had to move this inside. Oh my gosh, the wind just came up so fierce. And it's a good time because I'm really getting to the meat of the message and the real reason why I wanted to do this video. Every day that you are touring, your main objective, your priority for the day is to make sure that you find a safe place to spend the night. What does that mean, and what is going to make you feel safe? It's something that you're going to learn over time, and I want to give you just a few ideas so that you can start out with some metrics and some tools. Before you go touring, you know, you've done a lot of research, you've spent a lot of money on your gear, and I really recommend doing a shakedown tour. You can do this out of your driveway. This will give you a chance to pack up all that gear into your bags, put them on your bike or trike. You can feel the weight distribution. You're going to especially notice that when you're going downhill and there's a curve, and you're going to feel maybe it's a little bit tippy and you're going to have to rearrange what's in your bags. On a shakedown tour, I really think it's a good idea to do 2 nights of camping. This way you can have a chance to use your gear. You're going to unpack your gear. You're going to set it up. Give yourself a lot of time to do this. Be thoughtful about it. In the morning, you're going to need extra time. It's going to take a while for you to get comfortable, and then of course your speed will increase. Do it for 2 nights, and this will give you a lot more confidence. Like when you get back home, you can say, okay, I've used my gear, I feel comfortable with it. Maybe there's some things that you're going to want to change, so I recommend doing this at least 2 weeks before you're going to start your tour. in case you want to exchange something, send something back, get something in replace. And you're going to know how it all fits together, and it's going to really help give you a lot of confidence. There's another thing that I highly recommend, and it's really a pain in the butt, but you're going to thank me later. And I really recommend doing 2 days of hill climbing. And I want you to do hill climbing for as long as you are comfortable doing hill climbing. And you want to look down and you want to say, okay, this is the number of feet that I was able to do. And this is going to help you plan your days better. You're going to know how many feet of climbing that you can do. Climbing is the weak link. How slow or fast you can climb is what's going to determine your average speed. I happen to be a really slow cyclist, and it's because my climbing speed is really slow. I climb at 2.5, 3 miles an hour. My average speed is 8.5 miles an hour. I know through experience that the most climbing I'm comfortable doing in a day is 3,500 feet. I'm going to give you my day just as a reference point to give you an idea how I think it through and what's comfortable for me and helps me feel safe every day that I'm on the road. I like to get up 7:15, 7:30. I give myself an hour and a half to get up, tear down camp, have breakfast, have coffee, get everything in the bags, on the trike, and I'm typically on the road at 9 o'clock in the morning. I have a cardinal rule. I never ride at night, and I really like to be off the road by 3 in the afternoon. A couple of reasons for this. If I started at 9, it's now 3 o'clock. After 6 hours, I am ready to do something else. 3 o'clock is also when people start getting off work. They're in a hurry. They're impatient. This is also when people start drinking. People are going out with their colleagues, out with their friends. It's really just a good idea to get off the road. You have a lot of things that you need to take care of every day, and these things are just as important as the biking that you did. Every day you're going to come to a new town and you have to figure out everything that you need all over again. You're going to need to find the grocery store, maybe the post office, maybe you got to do laundry, maybe you need to find a bike shop, and all of these things have to be done before you go to camp. When you get to camp, now you're going to have to set up your tent. You're going to take a shower, you're going to wash out your clothes, not just because you've been sweating all day, but because you've been riding in traffic and everything smells like car exhaust. It's disgusting. You're definitely going to want to clean out your clothes. Then you want to take care of all of this early enough so that your clothes have a chance to dry after they've washed them out. And maybe you want to send emails, make phone calls. You've taken photos and videos you want to process. Maybe you want to write a little bit in a blog. And if you're in a campground with other people, you're probably going to want to socialize. And mostly you need time to rest. And when I talk about being safe for the night, getting a good night's sleep is vital. You've been working your body all day long and you're also mentally exhausted. Getting a good night's sleep is also a safety issue. I was lucky enough for my first tour to go down the Pacific coast. I was living in Oregon. I knew people that had already done it. It was very convenient decision on my part, and I really recommend doing the Pacific Coast route as a first tour. It has everything that you need for touring. I used the adventure cycling maps. You can look at the maps and you can see what the elevation profile is for every day. And so you can plan your days not by the number of miles, but by the amount of climbing that you are comfortable doing. And there are so many options for places to stay that you can easily find a place to stay where you're going to feel safe for the night. You have like 3 options for where to spend the night. You can credit card Tour. And this is where you carry very little gear on your bike, maybe a change of clothes, some snacks, your tools, and you're going to spend every night in a hotel. Going down the Pacific Coast, actually hotels in the United States are very pricey. Outside of the United States, it's easy to find a place to stay, a hotel, for $20 to $30 a night. In the United States, this is very difficult, and the Pacific Coast route is touristic. The hotels, you're looking at least $100 a night. This is a very big budget item. If you have the budget for it, great. I do not. I have to budget maybe once a week for a hotel or for emergencies. Otherwise, I'm going to be camping, and you have two options for camping. You can stealth camp, which is wild camping. You don't pay. And I have friends who, it's kind of their thing. They never pay for accommodation. They don't really have to plan out their day because they're just going to set up their tent wherever they end up, wherever they feel like they're ready to stop. They're just going to set up their tent. It can be in a city, behind a bush. It can be wherever they are, and they're going to be able to sleep. I do not feel comfortable doing that, so I know that I need to find a campground. And on the Pacific Coast route, you have lots of options. You can look at, I recommend the Adventure Cycling Association maps, and you can say, okay, I'm comfortable doing 3,500 feet of climbing. Let's look at the map and see where does that put me. The Pacific Coast route is very challenging. There's 100,000 feet of climbing, and so looking at the elevation profile is really important. And I recommend using the elevation profile more than the number of miles. There's almost all of the campgrounds on the Pacific Coast route have a section set aside for people who bike in or hike in. They're called hiker-biker. These campgrounds cannot turn you away if you hike or bike in. You cannot be turned away. You are guaranteed a place to stay. It's typically a big field, and everybody who has hiked down the Pacific Coast, and this is a route that you always do north to south. And, you know, all the people that are biking in are going to be in this field. And I, again, recommend that you get there by 3 in the afternoon. You're going to have plenty of time to set up your camp. There's going to be plenty of room to set up your camp, and you're going to have plenty of time to do all the things that you need to do in a day. So those are my recommendations. I really recommend using Adventure Cycling Association maps, looking at Crazy Guy on a Bike and Cycle Blaze for information as really great resources. You should do a Shakedown Tour and be very confident about the number of feet of climbing that you feel comfortable doing in a day. As you start going, you want to make your day more comfortable. You know, shorten it down. Give yourself extra time. You just don't want to be stressed out. You're already feeling anxious. It's new. You're not really sure how you're going to handle it. So be kind, be nice, and it'll help you enjoy the trip so much more. So, all right, I would love to know what you guys think about all of this. As always, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Share, subscribe, like the video, and be safe, be healthy, and I will see you next time.